Welcome back. Today we're recapping everything that went down in Andor Season 1. Planet hops, prison breaks, rebel plots, and a whole lot of Imperial trouble. If you're getting ready for Season 2, or just want to know what all the hype's about, this one's for you. Let's dive right in. In Episode 1, we meet Cassian Andor, a rogue smuggler with a knack for getting into and out of trouble. We kick things off on the industrial planet Morlana 1, where Cassian Andor is searching for his missing sister. He ends up killing 2 corporate security officers during a scuffle, which sets off a whole chain of events. Back on Ferrix, Cassian tries to cover his tracks and asks his friend Bix to hook him up with a black market buyer for a stolen Imperial Starpath unit. Meanwhile, we get flashbacks to his childhood on Kenari, showing young Casa living with a tribal community. He ends up discovering a crashed ship, and it's clear something major went down there. As corporate security begins to investigate the murders, Cyril Karn, an overeager officer, becomes obsessed with catching the killer, aka Cassian. Things are already heating up. Cassian's still trying to sell the stolen Imperial tech. We meet Luthen Rail, the mysterious buyer Bix contacted, who's headed to Ferrix. Cyril ramps up the investigation with the help of his boss, Sergeant Mosk. Meanwhile, the flashbacks show young Casa exploring the crashed ship and discovering the dead crew, but it's not clear what happened to them. In the present day, Cassian is clearly in panic mode. He knows the Corp security forces are closing in. Bix's boyfriend Tim rats Cassian out to the authorities, trying to get rid of the guy he's jealous of. Bad move. By the end of the episode, Cyril and his team are preparing a full-on raid to catch Cassian. Things are about to explode. Cyril's forces land on Ferrix and start sweeping the town. Luthen shows up and convinces Cassian to run away with him instead of selling the Starpath unit. We get a cool chase sequence through the scrapyard as Cassian and Luthen try to escape. Meanwhile, Bix gets captured and beaten, and Tim gets killed trying to intervene. Cassian and Luthen eventually blow their way out of Ferrix, and the two fly off together. Flashbacks show that after Casa explored the ship, he was taken in by Marva, a salvager who becomes his adoptive mom. Cyril, humiliated after the failed mission, is forced to go home. And just like that, Cassian is officially on the run from the law and the Empire. Cassian is drawn deeper into the rebellion when he reluctantly agrees to join the rebel group led by Vel on the Altani mission. At first, Cassian is only in it for the money, but as the mission develops, he begins to understand there's more at stake. The group is planning a heist on an Imperial garrison to steal valuable payroll credits, a critical blow to the Empire's supply chain. Cassian meets the team, which includes the cautious Skeen and the determined Vel, who's desperate for Cassian's skills. While the team initially distrusts him, they reluctantly bring him in after realizing his expertise. As the rebels prepare for the heist, tensions run high, especially between Cassian and Skeen, who is suspicious of Cassian's true intentions. Vel and Cinta, another member of the group, struggle to balance their personal connections with their commitment to the mission, making the whole operation feel fragile. The planning process is tense and detailed. The rebels are working against the clock, as the celestial event known as the Eye will provide cover for their heist. With only a small window of opportunity, they must work quickly and efficiently. Cassian's expertise in navigating Imperial security and technology proves essential, but it's clear that not everyone is entirely trusting of him yet. We see Cassian start to form bonds with the group, especially with Vel, though there's still uncertainty about his loyalty. The stakes are high, and while Cassian is driven by the promise of wealth, there's a growing sense that his involvement in the rebellion may lead to something much bigger. On Aldhani, Cassian, still going by Clem, is getting to know the rest of the rebel team. They're a mixed bunch: Skeen, Taramin, Namik, and Cinta. There's mistrust, especially from Skeen, who senses Cassian is hiding something. The group trains for the heist, practicing how to move Imperial gear and navigate the base. Namik, the idealistic one, shows Cassian his manifesto about why the rebellion matters. Cassian eventually admits he's just in it for the money, which upsets the others but clears the air. Meanwhile, Mon Mothma struggles to maintain her cover, and we see how isolated she is in the Imperial Senate and even at home. Over on Ferrix, Imperial forces start occupying the town. The tension hits a boiling point as Cassian and the rebel group prepare for the heist on the Imperial garrison. It's a huge mission, not just for the cash, but as a blow to the Empire. The team gets into position, and Cassian, now using the alias Clem, starts proving himself crucial to the operation. He helps the group infiltrate the base, taking control of a transport and securing hostages. With the celestial event known as the Eye lighting up the sky, they have a small window of cover. The meteor showers make it harder for the Empire to spot them, but but it also means the pressure is on. Things start smoothly. The rebels disable the base's communication systems and begin gathering the Imperial payroll. Cassian is key to keeping the operation running, using his resourcefulness to get through each obstacle. But as they begin to make their escape, everything starts falling apart. Terramin, one of the team members, is killed in a firefight. Gorn sacrifices himself to ensure the others can get away. The tension escalates when Nemik, the young idealistic rebel, is crushed under a pile of stolen credits. It's a gut-wrenching moment, especially for Cassian, who's seen Nemik's passionate manifesto about the rebellion. In the chaos, Skeen, the more cynical member of the group, tries to betray the mission. He suggests they split the money and ditch the others. Cassian, however, has already crossed a line. In a tense confrontation, he shoots Skeen, refusing to let him sabotage the mission. By the time the dust settles, Cassian's decision is clear. He won't be motivated by money anymore. He leaves the stolen credits behind and walks away from the mission. The heist ends with the rebels escaping on a stolen ship, but the victory is bittersweet. Luthen, hearing the news of the heist's success, knows that this operation is just a small piece of a larger game. For Cassian, the shift from survival to rebellion is official. He's no longer just in it for the payout, he's in it for the cause. The Aldhani heist sends shockwaves through the Empire. In response, the ISB, Imperial Security Bureau, tightens its grip, and we meet Supervisor Dedra Meero, who starts connecting Cassian to various rebel activities. On Ferrix, the Empire fully occupies the town. Cyril, now working a boring desk job, is still obsessed with redeeming himself and catching Cassian. Cassian returns to Ferrix to rescue his mom, Marva, but she refuses to leave. She's inspired by the rebellion and wants to fight. Cassian tries to give her money and go on the run, but she won't budge. Luthen meets with Saw Gerrera, trying to unite different rebel factions. Meanwhile, Cassian heads to a beach town on Niamos to lay low, but ends up getting arrested for literally nothing. He's sentenced to 6 years in prison. Cassian is now inmate Keith Gergo, sent to a high-security Imperial prison on Narkina 5. The place is brutal. Everyone's forced to work assembling parts on tight schedules, barefoot on electrified floors. Each prison level is run like a factory line, with competition and punishment baked in. Cassian is placed under Kino Loy, a no-nonsense floor manager who just wants to survive his sentence. The prisoners are watched 24/7, and everything is run with terrifying efficiency. Meanwhile, on the outside, Dedra gets permission to hunt Luthen and tightens her net around Ferrix. Cyril keeps trying to get back into the action. Bix is questioned and later captured. And back on Ferrix, Marva's health starts to fail. Cassian, stuck in prison, has no clue what's going on. Inside Narkina 5, tensions rise as prisoners start to suspect something's wrong. Cassian secretly plans an escape and tries to figure out how the guards operate. He slowly earns Kino Loy's trust. On the outside, Dedra interrogates Bix brutally, but doesn't get much. Cyril stalks her afterward, clearly obsessed. Mon Mothma struggles to hide her financial moves and is forced to consider marrying her daughter off to secure funding. Back in prison, rumors swirl that an entire level of prisoners was executed after a transfer mistake. It becomes clear no one's getting out. Kino is devastated. That's the final straw. He joins Cassian and starts helping plan a breakout. Breakout time. Cassian and Kino execute their escape plan during a shift change. They disable the power, overpower the guards, and trigger a full-scale prison revolt. Prisoners from all levels join in. Cassian gives a rousing speech, but Kino delivers the iconic line, "One way out." They reach the edge of the facility, only to realize it's surrounded by water. Cassian jumps. Kino stays behind, revealing he can't swim. Outside, Mon Mothma's financial troubles grow, and she reluctantly considers working with shady allies. Dedra continues her investigation. Cassian and a fellow inmate, Melshi, survive the escape and run into the wilderness. For the first time in a while, Cassian's free. Cassian and Melshi make it to a remote beach and part ways to spread the truth about the Empire's prisons. Back on Ferrix, Marva has died, and the town is preparing for her funeral. The Empire sees it as a trap for Cassian. Everyone converges on Ferrix: Dedra, Cyril, Luthen, and Vel. Mon Mothma learns her driver is spying on her and tries to cover her tracks by framing her husband for gambling. Luthen has a tense encounter with an ISB patrol, but pulls off a slick escape with his ship's secret weapons. Cassian sneaks back to Ferrix, learns about his mom's death, and decides to stick around. The stage is set for a showdown. Ferrix becomes a powder keg. Marva's funeral draws a big crowd, and during the ceremony, a pre-recorded message from her inspires the people to rise up against the Empire. Chaos breaks out. Cassian uses the distraction to rescue Bix from Imperial custody. Cyril saves Dedra during the riot, and she's visibly shaken. Luthen watches everything unfold from the shadows. Cassian sneaks into Luthen's ship later and gives him a choice: kill him or let him join the rebellion. Luthen smiles, and just like that, Cassian Andor becomes a rebel. As we finish up the recap, one question remains: did the rebellion save the galaxy, or just burn it all down to rebuild it their way? Leave a comment down below.